What if what you call love is not love at all, but a test? So many people confuse powerful emotions and deep attachment with true love. But faith teaches us something different. Not every connection is meant to be a blessing. Some are placed in our lives as trials to expose the weaknesses of our hearts. In this video, we will uncover the subtle signs that reveal whether love is guiding you closer to truth or pulling you away from it. This isn't about romance cliches. It's about wisdom drawn from scripture, history, and psychology through an Islamic lens. 1. The illusion of love as a blessing. It is natural for the human heart to mistake intensity for truth. When emotions burn brightly, we often think they are a sign of destiny, a divine seal of approval. Many whisper to themselves, "It feels so strong, it must be right." But strength of feeling does not always equal purity of love. Sometimes the Creator allows a wave of overwhelming emotion to enter your life, not to crown it with joy, but to test where your loyalty truly lies. Worldly attraction can be intoxicating. It blinds judgment, convinces the mind that obsession is care, and disguises infatuation as devotion. Yet spiritual love, rooted in sincerity, feels different. It brings calm, not chaos. It uplifts instead of consuming. It makes you more conscious of your purpose, not less. The difference lies in direction. Does the love bring you closer to truth, or does it pull you away from it? History offers striking examples. There were men and women who became so consumed by desire that they abandoned their mission, only to later realize they had mistaken a fleeting attachment for a lifelong blessing. Stories are filled with rulers who risked empires and scholars who lost their way because they believed their overpowering emotions were proof of divine favor. Yet in time, they discovered that what they thought was love was simply a distraction, a mirror showing them the vulnerabilities of their hearts. This is the hidden wisdom. Overwhelming love can be a form of unveiling. The Creator sometimes lets the heart chase what it thinks it needs, only for the person to later see the cracks in their own soul. That obsession was never meant to be fulfilled. It was meant to reveal. It showed pride, dependency, or hidden desires that needed purification. What looked like a blessing was in truth a gentle warning, a reminder that not every fire inside the chest is meant to be followed. Some are simply tests, designed to expose what still lies buried within. 2. Love as a mirror of the soul. There is a saying, "The one you love is often a reflection of yourself." At first, this may sound strange. How can another person reveal something about me? Yet when we look closer, we realize it is often true. The attachments we form are not random. They point to the condition of our inner world. Think about someone who repeatedly falls for those who dismiss them, people who ignore their presence and never return their care. This painful cycle is not simply bad luck. It is often a sign of an unhealed wound inside. Such a person may be battling deep questions of self-worth. They chase those who treat them poorly because deep down they have not yet learned how to value themselves. Their love is not really love. It is the echo of an unresolved struggle within. In another case, someone might be endlessly drawn to wealth, power, or beauty in a partner. On the surface, it looks like admiration, but underneath, it may reveal envy, pride, or insecurity about their own life. The object of their affection becomes a mirror, showing what they feel is missing inside themselves. Islamic wisdom teaches that the heart is tested not to break it, but to expose it. Just as a physician presses gently on an injury to locate the source of pain, the Creator sometimes allows attachments that press against the heart to show where it is still weak. The love you feel for someone may not be a signal that they are your destiny. It may simply be a divine way of holding up a mirror, showing you what you need to heal within yourself. This is why it is said, "Who you love shows you what you lack." If you love someone who constantly belittles you, perhaps what you truly need is self-respect. If you love someone only for their appearance, perhaps you must confront your own hidden vanity. If you cannot let go of someone who harms you, perhaps the test is to discover the strength you never believed you had. Love, then, is not always about the other person. Sometimes it is about you, your soul, your wounds, your growth. The Creator does not send every love to complete you. Some loves arrive to reveal you. 3. The test of patience versus the rush of desire. One of the clearest ways to know whether love is a blessing or a test lies in the speed it demands. Desire is always impatient. It whispers, now, immediately, without delay. True love, however, walks with patience. It is steady, not rushed. It is deliberate, not desperate. When a feeling pushes you towards secrecy, sin, or restlessness, it is almost always a test. A love that hides in the shadows, afraid of light, is not the kind of love that strengthens the soul. It creates anxiety, sleepless nights, and constant fear of being discovered. It feeds on haste and loses its life when patience enters the room. On the other hand, when affection leads to clarity, honesty, and long-term growth, it aligns with divine wisdom. Patience becomes the signpost of purity, love that can wait, love that respects boundaries, and love that chooses honesty over thrill. This is the kind of love that endures, because it is built on truth. Consider the story of a young believer who found himself deeply drawn to someone in his community. Every part of him wanted to confess his feelings, to act quickly, to satisfy the rush of emotion. But he remembered the guidance of faith. Patience is not weakness, it is protection. Instead of rushing, he turned to prayer, sought counsel, and gave time for clarity to emerge. Months later, he discovered that the person he admired was on a completely different path, with values that clashed with his own. Had he rushed forward, his heart would have been shattered, but patience had saved him. It was not wasted time, it was a shield. This is the hidden truth. Patience reveals whether love is genuine or simply an exam for the soul. What crumbles under waiting was never meant to last. What survives the test of time proves itself worthy. In a world where emotions urge speed, patience is the quiet voice that tells you what is real. 4. When love competes with the Creator. There is a deeper test hidden within love, when the one you cherish begins to overshadow the one who created you. Love becomes dangerous not when it exists, but when it takes the central place in your heart that belongs only to your Creator. This can happen without you even noticing. At first, you tell yourself it is harmless admiration. Then it becomes constant thought, endless comparison, and finally, dependency. You wake up thinking of them more than you think of prayer. Their approval feels more important than your Creator's approval. Their silence wounds you more than neglecting your faith. Without realizing it, you have built an idol, not of stone, but of flesh and blood. This misplaced love is not only about romance. It can also be love of status, beauty, or recognition. A person may spend their days craving applause from others, chasing compliments, or clinging to the image of being admired. In the process, they center their life on human approval instead of divine truth. There are clear signs when love competes with the Creator. One sign is when someone's opinion controls your self-worth more than prayer ever does. Another is when you neglect your obligations because of them, skipping reflection, ignoring worship, delaying what is sacred. And perhaps the clearest sign is when losing them feels more terrifying than losing your faith. Every love that competes with the Creator eventually becomes painful. No human being, no matter how kind or beautiful, can carry the weight of being your ultimate source of meaning. When you elevate them too high, the fall becomes inevitable. That is why misplaced love so often ends in heartbreak, because it was never meant to replace the eternal. Faith reminds us love can be beautiful, but only when it knows its place. People are to be loved in proportion, but the heart belongs fully to the one who made it. Any other arrangement creates imbalance, and imbalance always leads to pain. 5. The sweetness of detachment. Many think that detachment means coldness, distance, or the inability to love. But in truth, detachment is not the absence of love. It is freedom from being enslaved by it. To be detached is to love without chains, to care deeply but without clinging, to hold lightly instead of gripping with desperation. This is a lesser-known wisdom. Love becomes sweeter when it is free. When you no longer fear losing what you love, you can finally enjoy it as it is, without anxiety. Detachment does not kill affection. It protects it. It stops love from becoming an idol and turns it back into a gift. The early companions of the Prophet understood this balance. They loved their families, their homes, and their lives. But when faith called, they were willing to walk away, not because their love was weak, but because it was rightly ordered. Their hearts were not enslaved. They could say goodbye because they knew that all love belongs to the Creator first, and everything else is entrusted temporarily. This ability to let go did not make them less loving. It made them purer in love. A practical measure for all of us is this: you know your love is healthy when you can survive without it. If losing someone means losing your entire sense of self, then that love is not freedom, it is captivity. But if your heart aches yet still continues in gratitude, patience, and trust, then your love was balanced. Detachment transforms love from a heavy test into a light gift. It allows you to give without fear and to receive without greed. It makes you grateful instead of possessive, patient instead of desperate. And in this freedom, you discover a sweetness, because you finally realize that love was never meant to imprison you, but to guide you closer to the one who gave it. 6. The trap of fantasies and what-ifs. There is an unspoken struggle many people face, confusing imagined futures with love itself. It is not the person they are attached to. It is the story they build in their minds, the daydreams, the what-ifs, the endless scenarios that play like films in the imagination. This is where obsession often grows, not from reality, but from what could be. Unchecked imagination can create chains stronger than any real relationship. You begin to love not the person, but the image of who they might become, the role they might play in your life, the future you hope they will fulfill. And when reality fails to match the fantasy, the heart feels betrayed, not by them, but by your own illusions. Islamic wisdom warns against living in fantasies. The heart is meant to reflect truth, not to be consumed by castles built in the air. Fantasizing without action is a silent thief. It wastes the mind, it wastes time, and it wastes love. It convinces you that you are experiencing something profound, when in fact you are only trapped in imagination. Think of how many lives are delayed, how many prayers are distracted, how many opportunities are lost because someone spends hours living in dreams of a person who does not even know they exist. This is not love, it is self-deception. The heart becomes addicted to its own stories, and this addiction can be harder to break than real attachments. Sometimes what you call love is simply your own imagination testing you. It is not about the other person at all. It is about your ability to discipline your inner world, to recognize when the what-ifs are pulling you away from reality, and to remind yourself that truth is better than fantasy. The key message is this: real love survives in the light of reality. Illusion dies the moment truth appears. If your attachment lives only in the shadows of your mind, it was never love. It was just a test of your imagination. 7. When love is a wake-up call, not a destination. Not every attachment is meant to stay forever. Some arrive only briefly, like a visitor who knocks on the door of your heart, stays for a moment, and then leaves. Their purpose was not to complete you, but to awaken you. Sometimes it is a fleeting crush that stirs emotions you did not know you carried. It may force you to confront hidden pride, jealousy, or even neglect of your faith. The pain of unreturned affection may feel harsh, but it acts like an alarm clock, shaking you awake to areas of your soul you had ignored. The Creator, in His wisdom, sometimes uses love as a form of redirection. You think you have met your destiny, when in truth you have simply met a teacher in disguise. This person may teach you humility, patience, or self-control. They may remind you of your dependence on prayer, or of your need to seek meaning beyond human approval. The danger lies in confusing the lesson for the destination. When someone enters your life, you may quickly assume they are meant to stay forever. But sometimes, they are simply a mirror, a chapter, a signpost, pointing you back to your true path. Failed love is not failure, it is redirection. When a door closes, it often means that the Creator is steering you away from something that would have harmed you, or towards something better suited for your growth. The one you thought was your future may simply have been a gentle nudge, reminding you of who you are and who you still need to become. So when love slips away, do not see it only as loss. Ask yourself, what was I meant to learn? What weakness in me was revealed? What strength did I gain? This is how temporary attachments fulfill their real purpose, not to bind you forever, but to awaken you for eternity. 8. Healing from love that breaks you. Heartbreak is often seen as a curse, a wound that leaves you broken beyond repair. Yet in the wisdom of faith, heartbreak can be the beginning of purification. What feels like destruction may actually be cleansing. History holds many stories of great believers who became spiritually stronger after losing what they loved. Some lost companions, others lost dreams. Yet in the emptiness that followed, they discovered new depths of reliance on their Creator. Their heartbreak became the soil in which faith grew deeper roots. Broken attachments create space. When someone leaves, when a bond shatters, when affection is no longer returned, the heart feels emptied. But emptiness is not always tragedy. Sometimes it is preparation. It is space being cleared so that divine love, the one attachment that never breaks, can enter more fully. Heartbreak itself can be one of the Creator's most powerful medicines. Nothing humbles the ego more. Nothing reveals dependency like loss. Nothing strips away illusions as quickly as pain. In those sleepless nights and heavy days, the soul is forced to face its own vulnerability, and in that weakness, it often finds strength that was never known before. Healing, of course, is not instant. It requires tools, prayer to re-anchor the heart, self-reflection to understand the lessons hidden in loss, and service to others to lift you beyond your own sorrow. Turning your pain into compassion for those who suffer shifts the heart from self-pity to purpose. In time, you may look back at the heartbreak you once thought unbearable and realize it was the turning point of your life. The love that broke you did not end you. It purified you. It taught you to love more wisely, more deeply, and with more balance. It turned your dependency away from fragile humans and back toward the eternal. So do not fear heartbreak. Fear only the heart that refuses to learn from it. 9. Transforming love into worship. Not all love is a test. Some love is a gift, a pathway that draws you closer to the Creator rather than away from Him. This happens when love is refined, when it is purified from selfishness and anchored in faith. Take the example of a spouse. Love between husband and wife is not simply an emotional bond. It becomes worship when it nurtures patience, kindness, and selflessness. Every act of care, every moment of forgiveness, every sacrifice made for the sake of the relationship can carry spiritual weight. What seems like ordinary affection becomes extraordinary worship when the intention is pure. This is the unique truth. The Creator does not ask us to kill love, but to refine it. Love is not the enemy. It is the direction of love that matters. When love leads you to humility, compassion, and generosity, it becomes a means of drawing nearer to Him. When love is rooted in gratitude rather than desperation, it matures into something eternal. Real love strengthens character. It makes you more patient, not more impulsive. It teaches kindness instead of cruelty, generosity instead of greed. It inspires you to give rather than to demand, and above all, it awakens compassion for others, reminding you that the love you feel is only a reflection of the Creator's greater love for all of creation. The key takeaway is this: love matures when it aligns with faith. It shifts from being a mere test of emotions to becoming a form of worship. In that transformation, love stops being a weakness and becomes one of your greatest strengths. 10. Signs. Your love is actually a test. How do you know if what you call love is genuine or if it is simply a test of your heart? Faith gives us clear signs, markers that help us distinguish between real blessings and hidden trials. First sign, it makes you forget your purpose. If an attachment distracts you from your goals, your growth, or your faith, it is more of a trap than a gift. True love supports your mission. False love makes you lose sight of it. Second sign, it causes more anxiety than peace. Love should calm the soul, not torment it. If your days are filled with restlessness, jealousy, and fear rather than trust and serenity, it is likely a test revealing your own insecurities. Third sign, it thrives in secrecy rather than light. A love that demands hiding, lying, or deceiving is not a love that will bring blessing. Love rooted in truth seeks openness, not shadows. Fourth sign, it makes you neglect your Creator. If someone's presence lowers your devotion instead of raising it, if their words or influence pull you away from prayer and reflection, then the attachment is competing with the very source of love itself. Fifth sign, It depends on constant validation. A love that collapses without endless attention is not built on sincerity. It is built on insecurity. True love can survive distance, patience, and silence. A test, however, will always demand more and more reassurance, leaving you drained. These signs are not meant to condemn, but to guide. Recognizing them is the first step toward freeing your heart. Once you see clearly that your attachment is a test, you can begin the work of healing, detaching, and realigning your love in the right direction. Because in the end, love is either a path that leads you to strength or a mirror that shows you your weaknesses. Your task is to discern which one it is. What many people call love may, in truth, be a test of the heart. Not every strong feeling is a blessing. Some are placed in your path to reveal your weaknesses, to awaken you, or to redirect you. Take a moment to examine your attachments. Do they bring you closer to your purpose, or do they pull you away? Remember, true love does exist, but it will always guide you back to the Creator, never away. Reflect on your own heart and share your experiences below. Your story may become the light someone else is searching for.